Ever since Texas cowboys drove thousands of longhorns up the trails to the railroad, the American cattle industry has experienced change. Changes in transportation, in genetics, in healthcare, in feeding, in marketing. The cattle industry is driven by change. Today's feedlot manager faces even more change as profit margins decrease and the number of cattle increases. Efficiency has become the name of the game. How do you handle your sick cattle? The simple truth is, sick cattle are a daily part of the feedlot business. Does it take more than one person to return them to their pens? Are they forced to walk a quarter mile, a half mile, or even more following treatment? Are you as efficient as you could be? It's time for a change. AmAgra is proud to introduce the revolutionary Animal Ambulance, a well-designed piece of equipment that makes low-stress and efficient cattle handling possible. It will reduce labor costs, reduce time, and reduce stress for both people and cattle.
For go-home cattle, this deal is probably the slickest thing I've ever seen.
We're going to be able to cut our labor in half.
This makes us more efficient.
Quite frankly, this thing is doing everything I dreamed it could do.
The Animal Ambulance will change the way you handle go-home cattle. Instead of several cowboys spending hours a week, you can get the job done quickly and easily with only one person.
I believe with this one-man operation, and it works best with one man, I believe that we probably save close to 4 man-hours a day because I'm using one individual to do it and not 2 individuals to do it. And there's less sorting involved once the animals reach their location. There's no sorting involved when they reach the location.
We're going to save time. We're going to save people time, people energy. Work comp insurance could possibly go down because you don't have the horses and the guys out here in a place where accidents usually happen. It's either there or it's shipping cattle.
With all the work comp concerns that we have today in the feedlot industry, and knowing that in the last 5 years, my only work comp claims came out of the Animal Health Department, is that this truck functions as a one-man operation. And that man, whether he's loading cattle or unloading cattle, is always out of the way of the animals. There's no risk to him whatsoever because all the switches are on the outside of the truck where he can reach them without getting in contact with the animal.
The Animal Ambulance gets recovering cattle back to their home pens without additional stress and fatigue.
The old-fashioned way of driving cattle home with horses was stressful to the animals. You would sort, and you'd get in the cattle alleys and you'd resort. Not to mention, some yards, your hospitals are a half mile to a mile away of some of your pens. I certainly believe that we're going to retain some of our gains that we created before the animals needed treatment and getting them back to their home pen.
The principle behind the innovative design of the Animal Ambulance is to use the animal's natural behavior patterns to encourage them to move willingly in and out of the unit. Noted animal scientist Temple Grandin sets forth several guidelines for moving cattle effectively, including solid sidewalls to keep cattle calm. Solid sides provide a sense of safety and security. Non-slip footing. Rubber flooring provides long life and non-slip footing as well as noise reduction. Cattle compartments. 5 compartments allow cattle to move in groups efficiently and quickly using their natural behavior patterns. The Animal Ambulance provides a low-stress, calm, and humane way to return cattle to their home pens. No hot shots are ever needed.
Cattle load sweet on it. They handle good. There's no problem. There's no electricity, and again, it's easy on the cattle, and it's so much easier on the people. It's quite a rig.
The Animal Ambulance benefits both cattle and people. Instead of 2 or 3 cowboys moving and stressing a few cattle, one operator can return up to 20 cattle to 5 different home pens in much less time.
The other day we took home the Bork pen, the go-home pen, which equaled about 77 head. Beginning of sorting to the end took us 4 hours. Took us 1 cowboy. And the old way with horseback, it took us 4 cowboys, possibly 5. We had 1 free. 2 on the south side, 1 on the north side, and 1 hauling back.
I never thought that cowboys would accept the idea that we're going to take cattle home with a vehicle versus a horse, but they like it. They see the ease that the cattle go into the pen, how easy they mix. They're not hot, they're not bothered like they would. I think our buller situation on go-home cattle will drop.
Since we've had the animal ambulance, it seems like our bowlers have dropped down. I said we still pull bowlers, but 85% of our bowlers are new cattle we have not taken home from the hospital. Most of the cattle we take home from the hospital, they stay home, unless they're pulled again for sick or some other reason, but we do not pull for bowlers.
Will your next feedlot expansion include a centrally located hospital? Or will it have conveniently located gathering points that are strategically positioned? In which hospital will you place your best diagnostic personnel? Will you have to double your drug inventory? What is the average distance cattle walk to and from your hospital? How far is too far? Have you considered the consequences of the undue stress on the cattle? With the animal ambulance, these questions can be answered, and you can operate even more efficiently.
As we go into our next phase of expansion to 60,000 cattle, there's 2 things that concern me. Number 1 is labor. And how do you find labor? If this truck will take the place of 3 or 4 guys taking cattle home on a 60,000 head feed yard, it'll pay for itself very quickly.
We've always had to make a choice. Do we take cattle back to their home pen and use these same people to do it, or do we focus on diagnosing and treating the new cattle pulled? This allows us to have somebody who is maybe not as qualified to take the cattle home for us, while we leave the staff that needs to stay there for diagnosing and treatment there to do that job.
Every customer certainly wants to know that their animal's getting the number 1 care, and I think that this will prove to them that we're trying to take the best care of their animals to reduce stress from day 1 to day 120.
With the animal ambulance in your operation, you can increase safety, performance, and profits while decreasing stress, labor, and time. Are you ready to make the change?
We have lots of new technology, computers, email, what have you. This is a piece of equipment that helps in the day function of a feed yard.
Everyone wants to see a return on their dollar, and I certainly think that over a period of time that this unit will pay for itself.
It'll sell itself. I think when people see the ease, the way cattle flow on it, the way cattle flow off of it, I think in time it will be in mostly every major feed yard in the country.
I've worked in feed yards for a lot of years. I've been in situations where I've had to drive sick cattle up to a mile to or from hospitals. I've had horses upside down with me in these feed bunks. My medical bills alone could more than have paid for the expense of this piece of equipment. It's an outstanding product. A feedlot is no place for a rodeo.